making their way onto land.
While the strongest tropical cyclone in the world this year is pounding Asia.
This is just one of the many examples of pretty bad flooding that we've seen across the city because of this typhoon.
As we mark 1 year since Hurricane Helene devastated southern states, we look at recovery efforts at a state park.
A rebirth, they're calling it, and they believe will make the park better than ever.
Plus, the efforts to protect manatees from human harm.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. There are now 2 tropical systems spinning in the Atlantic, and there's a good chance a third could form in the coming days. And if it does, it would be named Imedla, joining Hurricane Gabrielle and Tropical Storm Umberto, which officially formed yesterday. Now, Umberto will likely intensify into a hurricane possibly as strong as a Cat 3. Florida meteorologist Lauren Oleski is tracking it all for us this morning.
Gabrielle will continue to move off towards the east. Tropical storm Umberto here. And then we've got this other wave that could potentially form into something in a few days. 50 to 80% development chance right now through the next 2 to 7 days. Of course, we look at this and maybe our eyebrows raise because it's very close to the state. We'll talk about our computer models in just a second. I want to give you a quick look at Umberto. It's actually going to be very interesting to see if these 2 areas sort of interact with each other. But we'll see this moving off towards the northwest. Florida's all the way over here, so this isn't anything we need to be concerned with. This actually, though, could become maybe a major hurricane early next week. And then we have Invest 94L. So we'll put computer models on it. Still a lot of consensus that this is going to stay off our coastline. There's actually a front boundary that's going to be dropping down the eastern U.S. You'll see it here. This is noon on Saturday. There's Invest 94L maybe becoming a depression or a tropical storm. And because that front moves off towards the east, as of right now, it will keep that system off of our coastline. Might make us maybe a little breezier by the end of the weekend or early next week, potentially roughing up some surf, but no direct threats to us right now.
And now let's turn to Georgia meteorologist Noah Hawk for a closer look at the factors that are driving the path of these storms.
Well, let's take a look at 2 different features to help explain why we might not. First up is the Bermuda High. It's going to be over in that blue. Right now, pretty close to the east coast, but in the coming days is going to be making its way back out to sea. And that's because Gabrielle brought a very big low pressure across the Atlantic. So by moving back out to sea, that Bermuda High hopes to balance things back out. But we're also watching an upper level low. It's going to be kicked out of the jet stream and will meander over the eastern seaboard for at least the next few days. This will also bring a cold front sweeping across the southeast to help block those tropical systems from making their way onto land. Now, we're also going to notice with that low, it's going to have a counterclockwise flow, otherwise known as cyclonic flow, and the high is going to have the opposite flow, so otherwise known as anticyclonic. That's going to help to guide both of those systems out back to sea. But of course, they're very close to one another, and they could impact one another's path, so we'll really just have to wait and see where they might end up.
Well, Super Typhoon Regasa is now heading towards Vietnam after battering several Asian nations. At least 25 people are reported dead in Taiwan and the Philippines. In China, crews are using excavators to clear thousands of trees that fell during that storm. Many are now kind of blocking the roads. And in Hong Kong, many schools are still closed today, but the airport reopened to international flights. Hanako Montgomery has more.
We're in one of the worst hit areas in Hong Kong called Chung Kwan O, and as you can tell, just over there, the sea, is very, very close to this waterfront. And there's a concrete seawall, but it didn't really do much to protect these restaurants from these massive sea swells and storm surges. We've seen photos and videos emerge from the typhoon showing massive waves just inundating these restaurants and causing very extensive damage. In fact, I want to show you just over here. You can see the doors to these restaurants have come off their hinges. Glass is just shattered everywhere, and there's a massive amount of debris. Just furniture strewn about everywhere. Now, as you can see, I'm standing in some flood water here, and it's pretty deep. It's nearly up to my knees. And this is just one of the many examples of pretty bad flooding that we've seen across the city because of this typhoon.
Coastal forests play a vital role in protecting communities from hurricanes. Cara Riskus looks at how they help mitigate the effects of strong winds, heavy rain, and also storm surge.
Coastal living in South Carolina, a region that's seen its share of powerful coastal storms. But how is our area weathering a storm of development and still protecting the natural wonders that absorb the impacts when heavy winds and rain rock our community.
I mean, there's not that many places that are natural green spaces in the landscape, and so the protective capacity of freshwater wetlands and coastal forests has basically already been lost.
Skip Van Bloom's research is centered on how hurricanes impact coastal forests. I asked Van Bloom how much more development can our areas handle and still be able to protect us from hurricanes.
Myrtle Beach, in the coastal part of Horry County, I think, honestly, I think it's probably at its max.
Van Bloom suggests communities with fewer protective forests should consider design features that help mitigate storm damage, saying without it, these areas have an increased threat.
Urban areas are dominated by cement and other hard surfaces, and so that water just runs off the landscape quickly and with more force. And so that makes that water more dangerous. And also, the hard structures, they channel the wind, right? And so they create a whole bunch of wind tunnels in urban areas.
Adding in urban areas, if these substitutes are considered, it can help in not just safety, but also will help filter out pollution. He says there are a lot of benefits to green spaces.
You can mimic a lot of the natural functions of forests and wetlands with something called green infrastructure or low impact design, with better engineering of stormwater ponds and bioswales and rain gardens and things like that.
In Ohio, officials are looking ahead to snow. Snow clearing teams in the state are holding their annual winter prep event known as the Snow Rodeo. Mike McCarthy was there and filed this report.
Under partly cloudy skies, these Franklin County plow drivers prepared for harsher winter weather.
This is our Snow and Ice Snow Fighters Rodeo. We do it to prepare and hone our skills for the upcoming season.
Daniel McCall is a bridge worker with the Franklin County Engineer's Office. He says the office has 11 new drivers.
New drivers, people that might not have driven the truck much before they do their training for snow and ice. This lets them hone their skills so that they can get used to going around obstacles and learning the truck.
It's a fun event too.
Franklin County engineer Adam Fowler says it's partly a contest with the drivers competing for scores. In all, the office has about 50 drivers who will clear snow and ice.
There are maintenance guys that they may be mowing or doing other stuff during the summer, but in the winters they have their CDLs and their license, and then they're the ones that drive the equipment.
Here we simulate blindside backing, where you might have to back up to clear an intersection or something with a different angle.
Staff with the engineer's office urge you not to become an obstacle. And remember to give these plow drivers space to work.
When there's snow and ice on the road, we ask drivers to have extra following distance so that they don't get into accidents and not be able to stop in time.
Because when it's time for winter weather, we all still share the road.
An effort to better understand the cosmic shield that surrounds the solar system is underway. It's called the heliosphere, and it's basically a big bubble that protects the Earth from the cosmic radiation of the Milky Way. The NASA mission is called the Interstellar Mapping and Acceleration Probe, or IMAP. It will take a close look at how solar wind is formed and its reactions with the space around the heliosphere. Researchers say that it will help scientists predict solar storms more accurately. And this Fat Bear Week in Alaska is an annual March Madness style contest that honors bears feeding season in Katmai National Park. Now here's how it works. Just visit the Fat Bear Week page on the National Park site and vote for the bear you think is the fattest of them all. You've started voting on Tuesday and it goes through September 30th. There are more than 2,000 bears in the park, and all are now trying to fatten up for winter hibernation. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how drought is impacting farmers in Ohio. And we're going to help you better understand why leaves change their color in the fall months.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We're tracking some much needed rainfall in the Northeast today. Some downpours, maybe a rumble of thunder there in southern New England and eventually down to Pennsylvania and New York. We'll get into some thunderstorm activity there. This is 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the afternoon. Some steady and heavy rainfall is starting to move up into northern parts of New England. The back edge moves out tonight. That's going to set the stage for a nice looking Friday. Look for a lot of sun with highs near 80 degrees. Our greatest chance for severe thunderstorms will be in New York and Connecticut.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region after showers are around for Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon could be the same. Maybe even seeing some stronger thunderstorms out there late afternoon through the evening hours. We will not see that threat end until this front crosses through the region. Friday, maybe a split. We may have some sunshine out there, but likely going to see the rain returning for the weekend. Temperatures will have a chance to still warm up with the rain around. Upper 70s to low 80s on Thursday, back to the 80s on Friday.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Afternoon high temperatures for your Thursday will be seasonably warm in the south and eastern part of our area, lower 90s and upper 80s. Now north and west of that front, we are going to see temperatures a little bit cooler than what we have been seeing over the past few weeks, upper 70s and low to mid 80s. That front will continue to make its way to the south and east, bringing widespread cloud cover and also a few isolated showers behind it as it tracks into Florida.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A lightning bolt in Abilene, Texas appears to strike either a power pole or power lines. Here's another view of the storm featuring very dark clouds and intense rain shaft in a single lightning bolt. While in El Paso, cloud-to-ground lightning includes multiple forks and branches. Fog is pretty common this time of year, from this dense, wispy ground fog near Seattle to morning steam fog coming off a stream in Utah.
For more content like this, subscribe to the National Weather Desk's YouTube channel.
Now to Tennessee, where recovery is ongoing after Helene swept the Davy Crockett Birthplace State Park off the map. Helene left nearly the entire park under several feet of water. It drained away, leaving behind massive amounts of mud. Nearly 1 year later, the park is basically an empty field, but that's not the end of the story. Preston Ayers explains the park is about to go through a major rebirth.
David Crockett Birthplace, a once active state park welcoming thousands of visitors each year. These days, it's eerily quiet.
A lot of our structures sustained damage, and a lot of the kind of historic structures we had here as well all pretty much got washed away.
The replica of David Crockett's birthplace, the homestead, working farm, the campground, all gone. This chimney is the only structure left standing on the nearly 100-acre park.
The river, which is just right over there, left this entire area covered in several feet of mud. In the past 12 months, they've pushed most of that over here, and much of it's still here today. In fact, it's making up this rather large hill at the end of the park. They've got to get that cleared away as they wait for the rebirth of the park.
The emptiness of these fields might make you think nothing's happened here in the past 12 months, but that's not the case. State leaders, park staff, and community members have been working on a redesign, a rebirth they're calling it, and they believe will make the park better than ever.
We wanted to have the public as involved as humanly possible because at the end of the day, it's their park and we want to be able to give the people, you know, for lack of a better term, the perfect park.
The funding is in place. Park officials say once the final design is approved, construction will begin full force, but it could take up to 2 years to complete.
We're doing the smart thing. We're moving a lot of things up onto higher ground like the visitor center.
The new design will give the park a new look, but bring back all of the favorites people have come to love over the years.
We're breathing new life into the park the way it should have been to begin with. So we're starting from scratch and we're going to go for the best park we can possibly.
Recent rain was a welcome event for parts of Ohio, but farmers say it did little to help dampen the current drought situation. Gil McCallahan talked with a farmer in Southeast Ohio who knows firsthand the impact of the summertime hot and dry conditions.
These are some of the 200 animals at McKean Farms in Gallia County, Ohio, who suffered over the summer with the hot, dry conditions.
Sheep have wool, which holds a lot of heat in, and they can get really hot and have a heat stroke very easily. Cattle can too, though, so fresh water is the main thing for the animals.
Besides water, McKean says fans were also used to keep animals cool. While their biggest concern was the animals, the heat was also tough on crops grown at the farm, causing them not to produce like they did last year.
As you can see in the heat, it affects the leaves. They were watered all the time, but the heat's just hard on everything.
Will that plant survive or die?
It'll die, yeah. It's going downhill already.
Rain across the region will have an impact, but not as much as farmers would like.
It will help out a lot, especially for next spring, get some moisture to the ground. But right now, it'll help out now, but not as much as it will next spring. It'll be the biggest impact would be next spring.
And while this part of the growing season comes to a close, farmers look to have better luck with the weather next year.
This is farm life. You just take as it comes and make the best of it.
Farmers say about a week of significant rainfall would solve their drought issues.
Did you know that drought can also impact fall foliage? Meteorologist David Holtman shows us why leaves change their color this time of year and what roles the weather plays.
Between late September through late October is when we tend to see the greatest change in those fall colors. And next week, we'll start to see them in full display since the days are shortening and trees will have to prepare for the winter months. Leaves have two major compounds that produce their colors, chlorophyll and carotenoids. Chlorophyll is the major compound that captures the energy from the sun and creates the sugars and oxygen. This process absorbs the red and blue light while reflecting green light. This is why, when in the summer, we have ample amounts of those vibrant green leaves. Once we start to shorten our days in the fall, chlorophyll production drops. This allows the carotenoids, the yellow and orange pigments that are already in the leaves, to start to show. Eventually, the leaves start to trap the sugars that were created by the chlorophyll, producing a third chemical, anthocyanin. This gives the leaves their distinctive red color. The weather determines how vibrant the leaves get and how soon the leaves will change. With average precipitation, sunny conditions in the growing season, and cooler nights, we tend to have vibrant colors. Since we're not in any major drought and we have relatively average to above average temperatures, we project that in the Midwest, leaves will be vibrant this year.
Turning to South Carolina, the Lowcountry, where sightings of marine mammals like dolphins and manatees happen often, but both creatures are friendly, but legal protections are in place through the Marine Mammal Protection Act to prevent harm from humans. Fallon Mears has more.
Manatees are interesting creatures. They have toenails. That's a fun fact about them. Some of their closest living relatives are the elephants.
They also breathe air and love to eat.
Have a single stomach and slow metabolism. They do a lot of grazing. They eat vegetation. They like to eat the hydrilla and the spartina and the sea lettuce that we have growing in our waters and along our rivers. They spend a lot of time, up to 8 hours a day, grazing and eating. And they're really trying to eat about 10% of their body weight each day.
But don't let their size fool you.
Manatees, for their large size, they seem sort of cumbersome and lumbering, and they do generally move around, but when they feel threatened, they can certainly move fast. They can travel far distances.
You may see them in areas like Shem Creek, yet that could be a very dangerous place for them to dock.
The only predator right now is really humans. Yep. So boat strikes, from human induced, but some other more natural things that could happen to them is starvation if there's not enough vegetation present for them.
Pate says you can keep our manatees safe by having someone be on wildlife alert, wear polarized glasses, and go slow when you are in shallower waters.
We've got kind of some murky but productive waters here. It's hard to see through it. Sometimes look out for these swirls in the water, which is what we call their footprints, so you can see where a manatee just was, and that's a giveaway. You also might only just see 2 little nostrils coming up out of the water when they're coming up to breathe.
And if you see what looks like a crab buoy attached to them, it may be a satellite.
Partners in Florida do some satellite tagging, and they're trying to look at migration patterns and where these manatees are going when they leave Florida.
And time now for a short break, but first we take to the skies. It's the Brooklyn Bridge, New York.
Sunshine out across the plains. Had some bubbly clouds yesterday, but we do have some rain across the Ohio Valley kicking out of here. So for the day tomorrow, a lot of sunshine returning with temperatures warming up across a lot of the Midwest. And as we continue on into your Saturday, still sunny with, again, those temperatures just slowly warming up over the next few days for most of the Midwest.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It is really nice weather this morning, all the way across from Shreveport back into Amarillo. We've got a few showers up into Little Rock. Still some rain left over down towards South Texas, a little warm and humid. That front will push offshore, bringing rain down in the southern portion of the region. While north, it's going to stay pretty nice and fall-like throughout the day. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
I'm George Waldenberger with your forecast for the western United States. First week of fall drags on, but the heat still very much in place from Phoenix through Denver, even upper 80s in parts of Montana. Some of that fall chill, though, entering Seattle, where smoke will also be an issue on the eastern part of Washington state. A weather maker dragging rain from Nevada into parts of Arizona, even watching that flood risk for southern New Mexico. That's the scene from out here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, the night sky offers a lot of cool sights to see. Stars, planets, the northern lights, and more. But have you ever heard of a moon halo? It's pretty rare, but it's an awesome thing to see. Meteorologist Christina Ernie posted about it on TikTok. Take a look.
Have you ever seen something like this in the night sky, the ring that forms around the moon? It's typically something that you see during the colder months and especially into the winter. It is known as a moon halo, and the clouds that you see around the moon are high clouds called cirrus clouds. They're made up of ice crystals or ice particles, and this ring forms when light is refracted from the moon off of these ice particles. They're typically seen around a full moon in the colder months. Fun fact too, because these ice crystals and cirrus clouds are hexagonal, they actually almost every single time create the same type of halo around the moon. It's typically around a diameter of 22 degrees.
We love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.